Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Talking Skritt, a Guild Wars 2 podcast about everything you want to know about Tyria in and around Tyria. I'm your host, Deo. Oh, jeez.
Just keep going. Keep rolling.
Okay.
It's too late now.
All right. I'm John, better known as Deo, around Yak's Bend, and we have a fantastic show for you today. They reveal more of the Revenant AI possibilities, Stronghold beta, and much more. First, let me introduce to you my fellow co-host. He is a moderator over at MMO Champion. He is going to help me through all of this great information at turbo speed. Say hello to Jim.
Hi, everybody. I had no idea he was the voice of Turbo. I've never even seen the movie. So.
And unfortunately, Aaron is not here with us this week. And apparently, Robin's going to bash him constantly. If you were here for pre-show, you would have heard about that. That's why it's so important to show up live. But she is a writer for Game Breaker, prepping her skills for Heart of Thorns by slaying some dragons in Dragon Age. Say hello to Robin.
Hello.
I saw your tweet, what was it, a couple days ago? Did you 100% complete Dragon Age yet?
No, so I have one more achievement I want to get in my normal playthrough, and then I've got to do my Nightmare playthrough to get my Nightmare and Hard Mode achievements, and then I'll be done.
If you beat it on a difficulty higher, you automatically get the next one. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice of them.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
100%.
Fuck.
I've never done that for a game. I've never tried to 100% complete achievement.
I wasn't planning on it, but then I noticed I was at like 73%, and I was like, why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Well, good luck. I mean, hopefully you'll... Are you going to be streaming it? Like maybe when you run it?
Yeah, I'll probably stream pretty much all of the Nightmare run.
Well, let's jump right into some Guild Wars 2 stuff. There was a lot of stuff this week. First off, they kind of teased us, as they do, with an image on Twitter and I believe Facebook as well. It was basically this... I literally forget to put it in.
Wow. That was none of them.
Yep. Well, basically they teased an image where... Don't worry, I collected every other image of this. It showed a centaur wrapped in green thorned vines, and I believe all it had was a quote stating basically your trials and whatnot are... I don't have the exact quote, if any of the other hosts can...
Jeez, damn.
I got it.
You
There.
got
Life
it.
can be
All right.
painful, but do not fear the trials you will face. Hard ground makes stronger roots.
Yeah. Which, if you don't know, is a quote from Ventari's tablet, so that could have possibly been a hint from it. What did you guys think at this point when they teased it? And I think it was at the beginning of the week, like literally Monday.
The Legends dance was the first thing I thought of.
Either that or
Honestly.
Druid.
Yeah, I know a lot of people thought that, but
Well, it was
seemed
one of
weird
those
to me.
things where people were like, the thought process was, you've got the Honor of the Waves armor gives you
Mhm.
the like codon face mask, so
Yeah.
the centaur face could have been a helmet of some kind. So, and without anything of the legs, it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah. Well, I also know that I've been like sitting on the edge of my seat waiting for the rest of the legends and the weapons to be revealed for the Revenant, so like they could have probably put almost anything vaguely related and I would have been like, Revenant stuff! So.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing to note is I lent towards Revenant just because every other specialization they showed a weapon in it, and this one didn't, unless the Druid special staff skin was going to look like a bunch of thorny vines, which would be weird and very doubtful. But
That would have been hysterical, though.
Well,
I know I saw
mean,
a couple people speculating it might have been like, challenging content with like, centaurs in general, which I leaned away from just because centaurs in this area aren't really hostile that we've seen. So
have we really seen any centaurs so far in the betas?
Well, not in, I don't think in the
The only ones we've seen are in
legitimate
the
Maguma
Silver
Waste, but the
Dreadnought.
two areas which are counted as Maguma Wastes dry top and
Yeah.
Silver Waste, which in dry top you do see a camp of friendly centaurs, and then in the personal story in Silver Waste you actually run it. Let's just say a friendly group of centaurs.
Let's not get reminded of that terrible feeling, please.
But throughout the week, they basically were kind of hushed on this, and I think it was Thursday they actually announced that it was first the next Revenant Core Specialization, and it was Ventari. And basically, we have some of the screenshots here of this one is actually showing off the actual Ventari legend skills, where you basically summon a tablet, and what I like about it is depending on it, you can actually the words on the tablet will light up depending on which skill you use. Like it'll light up in different areas. So I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
And also, if you don't notice in the pictures by now, they have also announced another weapon for the Revenant that we now know definitively is the staff.
Melee staff. Woo!
And as Robin has said, it will be the first melee weapon. So, what do you guys think about that? Are you happy?
I'm happy about it.
I've been wanting that to happen ever since I first thought of the concept of a melee staff when we were on the show and we were talking about warriors. I was like, that would be so cool.
Yeah. Well, it was I saw the article and I'm like, I remember when I joked about a full Nomad Revenant, and I'm totally going to play a full Nomad Revenant because, just give me a staff, give me Ventari as a legend, and I might go with Jalis depending on what the other ones for my secondary legend is. But other than that, I am literally a nigh unkillable tanking CC machine at that point.
Well, they did mention that it will pair particularly well with one of the legends that they haven't announced yet.
Oh,
they said that. I was like,
okay.
Oh yeah, it was on POI. They were talking about it, and then Roy was like, this would work with something we haven't revealed yet. I was like, damn it, Roy.
And the video I'm playing right now is from Points of Interest, and it's showing off some of the staff skills. Let's just talk about the staff skills since they kind of showed that off first. What do you think about the idea, and if you can kind of see it here, where as you're fighting, it's dropping health orbs? Like, do you like that concept? And their reasoning behind it was to make it more mobile, like you're not just standing there. And do you like that concept?
I'm a fan. And anything that has you, like, I think Aaron wrote, he has his Guild Mag article about covering this, and he was talking about how this is basically dev speak for trying to take out stacking, since one of the key benefits to your contribution wielding a staff means you have to move to another location to pick up the health orbs, either yourself or allies. So that's probably going to help, along with AI changes.
Yep.
So I'm really, really happy about that. I like this ability that gives you constant healing to you and allies. So just the ability to keep pushing out healing actually puts more emphasis on supportive and healing power builds. I can only hope that they write event NPCs to actually recognize these things. Because I don't want to just try and have event NPCs randomly running over them.
I mean, later on there we're going to be talking about some of the AI that might be in Heart of Thorns, and like I even said for the open betas or the closed betas when they let us in, the AI has already sold me, and the more I hear about it, it's just so. And like you guys are saying, it requires you to maybe disperse this whole idea of stacking. Like it just seems like all these little parts that they're putting in are gonna hopefully fix this issue of everybody stack here, don't move.
Well, stacking in of itself isn't a problem. The problem was that was always the best way to do everything. Like that was just what everybody should do if you wanted to do it the best way, and that's boring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not saying like if there's a mechanic where it's like you must walk through this hall all together. Everybody's like, nope, we're not stacking. It's just
one at a time.
yeah, like that's but yeah, when it was so disheartening going into like dungeons or anything where it's like just like literally line of sight the thing, go in a corner, and so any little bit being here with like some of the Revenant skills, and I think what they've teased with some of the other elite specializations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of excited for. Hopefully, it works out as they're planning. I mean, cannot wait enough to try more of the expansion and then actually get to play it. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how one the beta went, and two how they're actually using it like a beta.
Mm-hmm.
So
which to be fair, they should be commended for that alone, just because a lot of companies don't do that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. On the top of beta, like, on the one hand, I like the way they're doing it, but on the other hand, like, the fact that they're only doing it for short periods each time, it concerns me a bit because there's still so much that we haven't done and seen and hasn't been put in that I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, how far out are we looking for this expansion, really?
Yeah, that is
personally
a worry.
I'm not. I want the expansion when it's done. I don't want it rushed.
But I also don't want to be waiting for a year for the story to continue.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a problem.
Just a little bit.
I mean, do you want them to give you some signs to fix in the meantime?
No!
Don't even joke about that. That's...
Sorry, I couldn't.
That's the dark times of living story.
I didn't have to experience it, so I don't know.
That on the one hand, it was interesting because you had refugees and you had the signs that you were doing to help them, and all that was interesting because it was like, oh wow, yeah, what's going on? But it was literally like a month, an entire month of just putting up signs and being like, hey, where are the refugees coming from, before anything else happened. And so like by the time you got done with that, you're like, oh my god, can just something change, please? It was just way too much.
Everyone's like, where are these refugees coming from? After like a month, you're like, I don't care, just get them, just go.
Just go that way. Go.
I have to res another refugee. I'm out.
Yeah.
I think that was them trying to make our player character evil, because you're like, you know what? No, I'm done. I want action. But I mean, on that note, they've come a long way, and I can't wait to see the story and stuff like that. But let's look more at some of the Ventari skills, the utilities that they get.
The video.
Basically, your skills will summon a tablet, as you can see, and it's based on Ventari's tablet. And for people that don't know, Ventari, if you watch Points of Interest, they kind of gave you a brief synopsis. I'll try to reiterate it as quickly as possible, but Ventari was a centaur who was actually a good centaur, had Ventari's refuge, all that stuff in prophecies, saw him in some of the other areas. In the end, he teamed up with a human named Ronan, and long story short, they got a particular seed from a cave guarded by elementals, or I think now they're referred to as plant creatures, but and they planted it in this area, and lo and behold, 250 years later, it became the Pale Tree and the Grove.
Yep.
As far as teachings, if you go there to, I think, where the Pale Tree's avatar is, you can see that tablet hanging from a vine. And that's basically the very brief version of Ventari.
Yay.
But he was very much a pacifist, and I think that shows very well in this specialization.
One of the things that I really like about it is that when you first switch into the Ventari legend, you have to actually summon the tablet to then get the rest of your skills, which is nice because, like, when you have the tablet up, you have to actually move it around. You can move it around, which is nice. but like you have to actually move. It doesn't just follow you. So the fact that you can have it go away or just switch into that to get ready but not immediately summon it until you need it, I think gives a little more versatility in what you can do.
And the
Did
important.
they say if it could be attacked?
Huh?
Did they say if it could be attacked?
I don't think they did.
Yeah, I don't think, but they did say that it kind of drains a particular resource. Like, I think it's your legendary something.
Well, the energy,
Yeah.
like all of the skills require it, and then that bubble skill that's up now,
Is the
that's
drain.
your upkeep one, and it drains
Right.
you.
So basically, there is a possible downtime to it, which is good. I mean, it'd be incredibly overpowered if you could just give up the tablet. But I do like the idea that you can move it around.
Well, the tablet itself stays up. It doesn't drain just by sitting there, but moving it around and everything else does.
Yeah,
energy.
every time you do something with it, it
Right.
has an energy cost associated with it.
It's like a healing version of Orianna from League of Legends.
Sure.
I was just,
Character has
beat me to it.
she has a unit that she moves around, and all of her attacks come from it. So.
This is better.
Well, I mean,
I'm just kidding.
It honestly, like, half the time we ever talk about combat and stats and stuff, I make, a comparison to League of Legends with this because, I mean, it's really a similar action style, just, over the shoulder, free roaming camera kind of thing instead of the top-down isometric stuff. But I love the fact that there's 0 damage in Ventari.
Yeah.
I love
Going
it.
back to people were saying
That
in
makes
chat,
sense.
people were saying in chat, stacking has not been the most efficient way in dungeons since the nerf of the greatsword.
It hurt it, but
It hurt it, but you still want everybody in an area to receive the buffs, to receive, like, if you're line of
it
sighting them.
depends on the fights. Like, there are fights where you don't do it now, but most people still stack from what I've seen and still want people to stack. But
Yeah, it has lessened it. I'll say that, but it hasn't like you're still doing it for a lot of fights. But as long as it's actually supposed to be a strategy and not just to mess with the AI,
Yeah.
which it looks like they're addressing that. So fingers crossed on that. But yeah, back to the overall, did you like what you saw with the Ventari specialization?
Yes. I like it. I haven't had a chance to look through the traits yet, but I really enjoy the concept. The fact that the elite shatters the tablet is fantastic. It's because you have to either replace the tablet, and I don't know if it puts the tablet drop skill on cooldown or what have you, but you basically remove your ability to do things with your utility skills for a brief window of time, and that's kind of a big choice.
If I remember correctly, there are 3 different ways to get rid of it. I think 2 are through skills, and 1 might be you can just summon it. I can't remember for sure, but
I would think just moving a certain distance away from it would just despawn it.
Yeah, I don't remember them saying that, but possible. Would make sense.
I imagine 1 would be switching legends. I mean,
well, yes, that wasn't one of the ones that they were counting, but they did say that if you switch legends, obviously you lose the tablet.
So you're saying I can't be a worshipper of Malik with a Ventari tablet?
That actually is, if you choose Ventari, you can't double tap a heal skill. You'd have to be in Ventari first. Because isn't the heal skill that delayed heal trigger, or is the Ventari one the one that it moves?
Like, there's a few different ways. Like, you can, when you summon the tablet, there's one where you run through it and you get a heal.
Like the 6, like the heal skill slot. Is that like something you use on yourself, or is that the move ability? I couldn't see from the video.
I couldn't. I was watching on my phone, so I couldn't really tell which one was which really well.
Okay. But yeah, like, that's the only thing I can think of is if the Ventari heal, which, I mean, there's a lot of it, but if the tablet immediately despawns the second you swap, it's going to be a little more difficult to time the healing because you have to
No,
move it to you.
I don't think so because so say you're in a different legendary stats, you hit that heal and then you switch and you
Yeah, you
summon
have
your
to go
thing
from.
and then you
It'd
have
be
it.
easier to go from your other to Ventari than Ventari to your other.
Well, even that, like you have it out, you heal, and then you switch to the other, that automatically despawns and you can use your other heal automatically. Like I don't think it'll really be harder.
Yeah,
I think
I
what we're
guess.
trying to say is, let us play with these specializations soon.
Well, Roy did say next beta,
Yep.
whenever that is.
Yeah, he
I
did
just.
at the end of Points of Interest. So
I hope that gives us the new specialization system.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's what I like. I was honestly like I know they were testing the event system on the last PvE beta, but I really wanted to play with the new specializations. Even if they
Yeah.
didn't put the elite ones in, just the new specialization system in general would have been really awesome to mess with.
and it seems like from what was it, a couple weeks ago or something when they did it, when they had their 4-hour stream, they went through them all, so they have them all somewhat fleshed out. Like
Hmm.
of
Yeah.
course they
They
always say the
weren't all in the
numbers.
game yet.
Yeah, but that would be kind of cool to beta test, and
Hmm. I'm sure that'll be coming
hopefully, hopefully when they
soon.
announce when these betas are gonna be, yeah, soon. TM
Soon.
like,
Yeah.
um, but I know a lot of people. One thing I saw a lot of people saying was they were worried that the staff was so linked to Ventari build. I that some people actually started getting confused of, like, remember, these are core specializations. They just announced the staff weapon alongside of it. It's not
Yeah.
it's not it's not only with Ventari. So you can be a hammer, Revenant with
Yeah.
Ventari, or you
Well,
can be.
part of the problem also was in one of the writing announcements, not the blog post that Roy did, but there was a general like news announcement. There was wording in there that made it kind of sound like you could only use the staff in the Ventari, which was just poor word choice. But you definitely can switch, like we've seen right now. Like say you have the hammer with the Revenant, you switch to your other legend, you're still using the hammer. It wouldn't make any sense for that to work that way, like based on your legend, because the Revenants don't have a weapon swap anyway, so it wouldn't work very well.
I mean, and that's I think the biggest issue is with Heart of Thorns. A lot of vocabulary is changing. Like, we're
Hmm.
no longer going to have trait lines. They're going to be specializations, or specializations, and the elite specialization. So it's like a lot of times when
Which I
someone just
still
says
think they could have come
specialization.
up with a better, like, different naming convention.
Well, considering they're doing such a huge change to the underlying character building setup,
Hmm.
I think a verbiage change is kind of needed,
Yeah.
but it is confusing in the interim. So once they get that all sorted out, as long as the new player experience is sorted out.
The new player experience.
That hurt just a little bit, you saying that.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's just
It's true, though. Well,
and
supposedly this new version of it will be better than the new version. It'll fix the problems, supposedly.
when we all die just a little bit inside every time we say that.
And that was painful.
But
I kind of need a second to recollect myself after hearing new player experience.
it's what it is.
Yeah.
Gotta call a spade, man.
Well, think of it this way, even if the newer one that they fix it to is still messed up, that means sometime in the future we'll get to see John Peters on a stream saying that it was just bad. It's bad.
Look, at least they're willing to admit that the system is messed up.
Yeah.
I mean, there are other companies that look at their systems and are like, nope, it's fine, despite player feedback saying this is wrong and bad, and we would like you to change it.
Hmm.
So,
In chat, they're saying that they've announced a PvP tournament in August, so possibly seeing it in, like, maybe it going live in June. I don't know. I'm trying to think because the last time they actually had a PvP tournament, they did the whole trait reset, which I think they gave them like 2 week notice. I don't think it was very long. So, if anything, it might be closer to that August date.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It all depends on when. Like, I know we're going to get the new specialization system before the expansion.
Yeah, that's all we
I
know.
don't think we're going to get it like months and months before the expansion.
Maybe a month
Unless
or
the
two.
expansion ends up being like next year. Maybe then we'll get it months ahead. But like I think it'll be a month or two, like what Mal said. So I don't know.
Which is very hard to say
Generally-
since we don't have a release date. So
Yeah.
Generally speaking, any expansion for any MMO that made a system change like this has always put out a quote-unquote pre-patch.
Mhm.
Like, I know Blizzard has been doing it for every one of their expansions for World of Warcraft,
Yeah.
just so people can get used to the new systems before the expansion rolls in with all of the new stuff from the expansion, because they want you focusing on the content, not new ways to build your character.
Yeah.
So
Well, it also depends on where they feel like the balancing of everything is. If they feel like it's pretty balanced, I could see them putting in the specializations in July ahead of the tournament to give people a chance to adjust and figure out what works and all of that, and then do it still. But
you know what? Putting it out for the tournament would actually help them squash bugs a lot better.
Mhm.
Because PvP players, like the really high-end hardcore PvP players,
fine tune it.
they're gonna find what's exploitable. They're gonna find what's breakable. They're gonna find the team comps that just absolutely stomp people. So,
yeah.
I mean, hell, I'm pretty sure that's what Riot does with League of Legends with the LCS stuff. So it's a really good strategy. I mean, you take the best of the best, and then you kind of grade it a little bit because not everybody's going to play up to that standard. But
Well, I mean, this week this isn't the only Revenant blog post we got. They actually took time to make one basically role-playing the Revenant, and it's just basically a little bit more of backstory for the Revenant since we really don't know anything besides, and spoiler alert, Ritlock is our first Revenant and basically just appeared as is. Like, we don't
Wait,
have
what?
any... Sorry to break it to you.
Ha ha.
But it's kind of interesting. They said while Arena kind of looked at it as like a heroic profession, it is very much a balance between light and darkness.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I actually found very interesting was Revenants don't become blind as a natural result of this profession. So this might just be like they all get a blindfold as like, you know, symbolizing it, but it's not all the Revenants are blind unless part of your, you know, your own backstory for your...
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys think that could possibly mean? Does that possibly mean that Ritlock might not be blind, or?
Well, it could be like, I mean, pulling from Warcraft, the demon hunters did actually blind themselves, I believe. But this could be more of a thing where they're covering their eyes to help focus on other senses in order to perceive the energies of the mists better. That doesn't necessarily mean they need to blind themselves, but it's also part of like kind of a ritualistic act of, you know, physically impairing your vision to gain sight elsewhere. It's just not permanent.
Now, do you think we're gonna have like opposing forces of the people that are gonna wear the blindfolds and the people that are gonna buy the reading glasses from the gem store to help better their vision?
Oh God.
Well, I've already got the reading glasses, so.
There you
Your
go.
Revenant, there you go. Your Revenant gets to wear glasses.
I think that'd be great.
I don't know. I hope it doesn't become like a thing like that. That seems silly. Like, I get it if you're RPing, like, fine, that's fine. But for people not RPing, I feel like that shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, I think a lot of this, I mean, it says role playing the Revenant, so a lot of this is geared towards that. And I mean,
As a company, like, I think it's kind of cool that they put out an article specifically for the role players like that's really cool of them. So
Yeah.
it's nice that they were able to do that in advance so people can like plan stuff.
Which makes me wonder because I know throughout, what is it, 2 years now, going on 3 that, out, they've like breaking. I know one popular one was breaking into the Salma district, so people could RP in there with as many friends as they wanted to. But I
Hmm.
think they eventually put like invisible walls up. So I know when they talked about guild halls, like very briefly, they said, "Oh, this could be also a place where you have your little RP, your RP events and stuff like that." Do you think they're finally kind of focusing on, like, they've kind of focused on PvP, they've focused on World v World, they focused on PvE. Now, do you think they're going into like the sub sections, like role players that could?
No.
Honestly, like one of the bigger deals with role players is finding a place where you won't get people interrupting you and being dicks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much it. And wipe that smile off your face.
Continue.
Anyways.
To be fair,
And
I play along a little bit. I don't try to ruin people's experiences.
you try to enhance them with Dabio.
Exactly. Memorable.
You're terrible. But it's getting away from the people that are going to be jerks. It's finding a place that can actually fit what you're trying to do. Honestly, I love the fact, like the guild halls, when they announced that and they're like, yeah, you can do your guild events here. You can do your
Yeah.
role play stuff here. It's like, okay, our Quaggan races, our costume brawl stuff. Honestly, though, sometimes I kind of like it when random people show up for the
It
costume
depends on
brawl.
what the random people do, but yeah. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's cool. Sometimes it's just like, come on, guy.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, it's definitely going
it's
to be interesting. And yeah, I agree with you. I like that they're doing this like an article and kind of showing that, like, I'm not suggesting that they didn't care before, but at least they're giving like news time, that
Hmm.
to them and saying, "Look,
they're
we know you care
showing
about the
that they care.
backstory."
Well,
I'm
they
I'm
kind
sure
of need
people.
to.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say they kind of need to because like with the other professions, we know like basically the stuff to fill in the blanks to make a story based on that. But with Revenant, we don't know, so they have to give that. It would have been like a really kind of dick thing to do to the RPers not to do something
and
like
and
that.
that's what I was gonna say was like I said, I'm not a role player. I have like little backstories for each of my characters, but like coming from like WoW and all that stuff, like I knew RPers and stuff like that where they would spend someone would spend months on like their character's backstory. So giving them this like now when we don't really know when a release date's gonna happen, I'm assuming at least 3 months out
Yeah.
at the very earliest.
On the note of RP, though,
Okay.
I really hope they change Rox's line in the beginning. Like when we were doing the beta, Ritlock comes in and blah blah. And he's like roar, and spoiler alert for anybody who was in the beta. And he's like, "I'll tell you about it later." But Rox makes a comment about like, "Wow, I've never seen that kind of magic before." And I'm like, I'm a revenant. I'm standing right here. You were just fighting with me. Like, hello.
Yeah, because that is an important part because you're not even saying like I'm right here like this whole way through. You're still the player character. You all work together throughout season, like, well, halfway
Yeah.
through like season 1 or like near end
Yeah.
season 2. It's like I have you been looking?
Well,
It's like, here, you take my blindfold. Apparently,
The only thing that I can imagine is that when they wrote that, they were thinking, well, most players are going to like roll a new Revenant, level it, and then they're going to take their 80s, their current 80s to do the new area. So it'll make sense because you won't have an actual Revenant in the beginning the first time you see it. But that's silly because they have all of those books and experience scrolls and all of that, and like there are going to be people taking their 80s, right, like fresh Revenants there, and it's weird.
I mean,
If you're
granted, I'm
RP,
probably
that
gonna
takes you
I'm
right
probably gonna
out of it.
firstly play through as like my guardian or whatever,
oh
but
yeah,
I will have my revenant already at 80. I mean,
It depends for me.
yeah. I've got all the scrolls and tomes and everything, I'm good. I've got a level 80 Revenant. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. Unless they like incredibly wow me with like the other specializations where I'm like, I need to play this right now, like then I might, but Guardian, that's
the only thing that I can think of is that they were basically just kind of throwing a line together to have the beta set up so they didn't have to do too much. We don't know where we don't know when the Revenants show up. We don't know any of the backstory on the Revenant as a profession. So
it's just I hope they smooth that out right there, because like even as a non-RPer, that totally took me out of what was happening. I was like, seriously.
It was a bit of an awkward line, a bit of dialogue right there. Yeah. Like I will agree that was a pretty awkward bit of dialogue, just in general, not even from the fact like because I went through first on an Elementalist, but it was just odd.
Yep.
So talking about Deo, you said now they're going into like the subsections of PvE and PvP. They're going in for speedrunners with the adventures because didn't they say there was going to be some kind of leaderboard system?
Yeah. Oh, I told you guys about that PAX East.
Yeah.
Yeah, the adventure's going to have a leaderboard system based on like how well you do and all of this stuff.
So I mean, they're really looking for like the subsections of PvE and PvP now. Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's great because so many like different games would be like, that's not the way we intended you to do this. Stop doing that, and they try and break it so you couldn't do stuff like that. But instead, they're like building bits of content that are really aiming at those people. Yeah, which is great.
The only thing I'm hoping is that they break things that like if people break something they fix it in a way because I was told in Guild Wars 1 there were a couple of areas you could farm with I think it was a dervish build and then there was a monk build where you were literally unkillable and you just slowly ground the enemies to dust, and then they just put stuff in that I'll just strip I'll die, like I'll run in, I'll die, but when I die I strip an enchantment off of you. And that completely trashed the build. So that's how I like to see game developers fix exploits. Like, I want them to see. I like seeing that, and that's what I.
There's a difference between exploiting and just coming up with a different way to play and different like way to do things. Like, I mean, the line can be kind of fine sometimes, but like, I mean, just running through a dungeon really quick in and of itself is not exploiting. Some of the ways you might do things could be an exploit. Like if you're jumping up on something so that you're out of range but you can still attack them, that would be an exploit.
Right.
But like just the idea of getting done with things as fast as possible or seeing how fast you can do stuff is not.
Yeah, that's more of a play style. Now, if you exploit within the play style, then yes, you're in trouble. But it's not. It's like one of those situations where it's like not all of it. Not all speedrunners are exploiting, but the exploiters are probably going to be trying to do this for speedrunning purposes, or selling runs or something like that. But they're a subcategory of the subcategory. It's not 100% what they are. But going back to like some more of the background they gave us about the Revenant, they said think of it as they are, like they said, it's kind of the opposite of an engineer where it's inventions to move forward and look forward, whereas this is kind of turning to the past and like the ancient powers, hence the legends. Also, what I found interesting was it said continue the stories of the legends by making them active and aware, which kind of made me think they kind of dabbled with this mechanic in stories where it's like, oh, if you had a Sylvari and talked and looked at, if you talked with Canuck or something, or if you had an CERN and you talked with what's her name, with the golem. Timey, sorry.
Did you just forget Timey?
Yeah. Man.
Get out.
All right, I'm gonna take the stream with me.
How did you? Please continue.
But you have like special dialogue, and I think also if you're like an engineer and you look at Scarlett's notes, and one of the things you can like get a little bit more information. But do you
Mm-hmm.
think there will be special dialogue for maybe if you go in or have like what is it, Jalus's legendary active or different legendaries? Like
Eh,
I'm guessing Ventari, so like throughout here. I mean,
I don't think so. But no.
okay, got shot down very quickly on that one. Like, just no, you're ridiculous for even
Well,
suggesting it.
Mouth might agree with you.
Uh,
I mean,
like
they've showed it in the past.
reacting to you, NPCs reacting to you based on the legend that you're channeling. Is that
Um,
basically what you were saying?
Or that you have active or something.
I don't know
And
because
this is only going to be in like an instant setting, unless they figure out a way to do it in general. But
well, in general, as a Sylvari, you will have NPCs reacting to
right.
you and stuff
And that's
like that.
that's actually something I was talking in chat about the whole line with that I was thinking about as we were moving on from it. The thing with rocks is, if you're
Mhm.
playing a Revenant through that point, that particular line of dialogue might be different.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll get different dialogue as a Revenant just because you're different.
Yeah, I
The
don't.
powers you're using are different. But that would probably only come from like Destiny's Edge 2.0 because they're the
Yeah.
only ones who are really fighting with you.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they'd really throw like Larenthere extra dialogue specifically for you.
Well, I don't think Larenthere specifically, because he's going to be so busy with dealing with getting people to trust them and like working on fixing the problem that I don't think he really cares if you're using a different
Larenthere is
meta or
like talking
something.
like, I got my own problems. I don't care if you know Jalus. Whatever.
Like, you are not the most important thing going on right now.
Yeah, it's odd, but I'm not seeing different dialogue for Revenants specifically because
Yeah.
of the legendaries. I do like they did say stuff about, a bit of an exchange between you and the legend
Mm-hmm.
when you use abilities and when you swap to them, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird to think that you are like making them aware. It makes me think that like you're channeling a memory of an ancient power and you're basically creating a fragment consciousness of it. Like the Jalus that you channel, you personally as a Revenant will be different from another Revenant channeling Jalus because they're doing different stuff, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of this weird consciousness that you have all of these fragments with all of these Revenants that are different versions of Jalus Ironhammer.
Well, like the part of the story is like you're channeling and pulling from the mist, so like it's totally possible. Like people, however they exist after they die in the mist or whatever, that there is some awareness there. That's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, because I think in the
Weird.
article they actually talk about the legends as a twisted roommate situation. I definitely think that's
Um. Oh, what was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. Um. Yeah, I don't know. Right now, when you switch legends, they just have like the line and the animation, which I like the animation so far. That's cool. But I don't know how much further they're going to take that.
I just remember when I watched because Deo got in on the first beta event, and I remember when he swapped to Jalus the first time. Yeah, that smile right there.
the feels. I loved it.
Like, yay!
Yeah.
I did something similar because I wasn't expecting that because that was not in when we did the thing at PAX East.
Like the amount of time they're putting in on these skills is really impressive, and it feels awesome. And from what we've seen of the specializations, the 3 specializations we've seen so far, all the new stuff they're creating for the classes is just as good.
Yeah.
I mean, the Reaper Shroud animation, just going into Reaper Shroud. Come on.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy about this so far.
Yeah, I think I even made a comment on their tweet when they did the. I think when they actually announced it was Ventari's profession, I was like, I can't wait more so to hear like the voiceover work because I love the Chalice Iron Hammer when it was awesome. So I am that's probably the thing I'm looking forward to with the Revenant is probably switching between all of them. Be like, do they all have different dialogues? Because I think they even say that in the article. Like they'll actually maybe say a couple different things, and I think your character actually responds differently depending on race or.
Which would make sense and
Yeah,
be awesome.
I can't wait to hear like between certain ones, like maybe. So far, do we know if and like I'm trying to think of any of the legendaries that we know about if they've had any char in issues, especially like in Guild Wars 1. Like I don't think the Delgemore doors dealt with the char. Cuz I was just for some reason when they mentioned that I was just waiting for like the like being insulted like by the legend and the char just like I'll throw you back in the mist or something. For some reason that popped in my head. But I'm just trying to think if there's any
yeah, let's see here. Jalis doesn't really have any particular ties. Ventari will probably have interesting dialogue with the Sylvari.
Yeah.
And then Malix just hates everybody.
Necro.
So
Malix hates everybody.
That would be interesting if he has unique dialogue with like a human since we fought him as a human in Guild.
I don't know. I'm really anxious to see the rest of the Legends, especially now. Like now that we've gotten a third one, I'm like, all right, I need all the other ones, especially Glint, and I have a really bad feeling that Glint's going to be the last one. I'm going to be like, come on.
My only issue with it is they're saying that like the specializations lines are the number of legends, so there are going to be 5 at max, but we don't know if one of them is just going to be like your generic Revenant trait line.
No,
like,
I don't think so.
They're not. You don't think they're going to do like a class line like they have for everybody else?
Nope.
Okay. Because I mean, that would just be kind of disappointing.
Unless it's like the elite spec and that doesn't have another legend tied with it, maybe. But
I kind of think they need to for the Revenant to have an elite specialization.
Although, yeah, that might make sense because so you can only have 2 legends active.
Yeah, you can only have 2
slotted. So then that leaves your third one. Maybe there will be a plain one, but that would mean there would be only 4 legends.
As far as I can tell, you don't necessarily have to have a legend slotted for the trait lines you have in. Okay. So, I mean, you wouldn't even have to use the elite specialization legend. So, I mean, yeah, you would kind of have to get a legend from the elite specialization because everything changes all the elite specs change your class ability. So that's the only way they can do it for the Revenant.
I think once again it boils down to, so when are we going to get to play this?
Yeah, exactly. When do we see all the stuff?
Things.
Because yeah, it's like we haven't had a chance to see if we can switch out well, of course we can switch out the legendaries, but how we do it because we've only had 2 of them.
I'm assuming it's just one of those like skill window arrows on the legendary slots because that's what it looked like. Like it looks. Okay, so you know how you have the 2 indicator icons of which legendaries you have up for the F1? Yep. All I'm thinking is they're just going to put the little black bar with the yellow arrow on it that you click to swap things out.
So there is an arrow on there, but right now, since we only have the 2 legends, you can't really tell how that works because, like, with the utility skills, they have the arrows, and basically you can switch which number does which thing. Like, you can't, there's only a set number of things, so, like, the arrows are only so useful. It's not like with your current characters where you get this map of all the abilities and all of that. So, I think we're unfortunately just going to have to wait until we get a beta with the third one in there or, you know, all the things in there to really get an idea of what that does exactly.
And I saw chat talking about the trait lines. I think like what was data mined out, we know of a total of 5. Now the curious thing is, and that's why we're speculating if there is one that they haven't announced, like don't even have in the code, or they're just going to have one that doesn't have a legend attached to it, is just because all the other professions, when they have their legendary or elite specialization, they're going to have 6 specialization lines. Whereas if there's only a tied to each,
I'm pretty sure that Revenants are going to have an elite specialization too.
Oh yeah, I do too.
It's just
it's just if they're going to have only 4 core specializations over.
No, I'm pretty sure they're going to have
one that's
5.
just.
Yeah,
I'm
think
thinking
it's going to be 5, and I think the elite specialization might not bring another legend to the table, but it will have other things.
Right. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that there has to be a legend. There can only be a legend tied to a specialization line.
Mm-hmm.
They can add more legends. It's just another way they can.
Legend of Scarlet.
You know what? That wouldn't be a terrible idea, and she kind of fits the bill.
Of course it wouldn't be a terrible idea. That would be an amazing
Malix was a villain, and you get to channel him, so...
Yeah, that's the other thing people have to really understand, because I've seen some people upset about it. Like, legend means that you did big things. Not that you did big good things, but that you did big things, and people know about you, and I think Scarlet definitely fits that bill.
Well, yeah, and that... with Malix, I mean, he wasn't a good guy.
No, like I said, Malix hates everybody.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I kind of hope that the Revenant Elite is something similar to the Ritualist. Just to pull back, because they basically have Ritualist-like abilities already. So why not make? Because they seem to be a more martial class, make their elite specialization, make them more of a caster type. Oh boy, Deo's got that face.
Okay, elite specialization for Revenant is gonna be like the Abaddon specialization, and basically it's because it's gonna be like a Revenant. It's gonna be like a spirit spammer. You can summon different spirits, but they're gonna be like stationary or whatever, and he was well known for controlling key members. Like maybe there's going to be a quick Shiro one, a Lich. Shiro?
Oh, Shiro. I was like, what?
But, maybe it's something like that, because he was well known for kind of controlling people, so...
Nah. I don't think so, Deo.
Robin is shooting me down left and right. Okay.
You're like way out in left field, I think.
I think she has an insider giving her information.
I just want a good minion master. That's all I want.
Well, hey, they were like we talked about when we talked about the Reaper. We're really hoping they fix the AI. So there's that.
Of AI, and I was gonna say the one thing that tricked me this week, because everybody was talking about, it could be like talking about centaurs as like challenging content.
I saw that.
The GDC conference, they finally released one of the conference recordings, and it was building a better centaur, and I was like, I think it came out Wednesday or something. I was like, no, this can't be it. No.
Yeah.
But if you have not seen this, definitely check it out. It's about the AI of what's coming in Heart of Thorns. Now, something to note, not all of the stuff they show is in Heart of Thorns, but their concepts, like some of them, are used in Heart of Thorns and whatnot, and I think if you've had a chance to try the closed betas or the ones that are coming, you'll probably see the AI and how it's getting better.
Oh yeah,
and
it's hard
I'm only
miss.
Looking forward to it, advancing. But some of the stuff, of course, the people that were there were Mike Lewis, who is the lead gameplay programmer for ArenaNet, and Dave Mark, who is the president and lead designer of Intrinsic Algorithm, and has for a while been an AI consultant. He actually worked or helped with, I think it was EverQuest Next, with their group Story Blocks, I believe, and that kind of.
Right.
And I think they had to part ways with that.
Yeah.
But he's been working with ArenaNet on Heart of Thorns and their AI. And oh my god, a lot of cool stuff. Like basically different levels and of basically movement Some of them, like archers, will want to stay a certain area away from you. They're going to be a lot more intelligent. They're not going to want to be line of sighted. Like they're not going to follow you around a corner. They'll wait you out. They'll try to dodge out of things and stuff like that. I mean, what
the
kind of things
dodging out
did you
of the
guys?
things is the main thing I noticed in the last
Yeah.
beta. I was like, wow.
Hey, look, stuff moves out of the AoE.
Yeah.
It's like they're intelligent.
Yep. It's fantastic.
Which I saw a lot of people making comments of, you know, PvP and World v. World, that's where it kind of shows Guild Wars 2's combat shine. And hopefully the stuff in PvE, that's what's going to be showing, hopefully start showing how the combat's going to shine.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's how Guild Wars 1 worked, where we didn't have a level cap increase. They made the content harder. So I really hope, and I mean, from their past experience, they've kind of done this. So I'm hopeful, and I believe in them. So hopefully we don't have any more Zytan fights. That's all I'm going to say. But
Yeah,
definitely watch some of the videos.
Just to see how this whole thing plays out at the end. We'll see.
Well, I'm really looking forward to more dynamic PvE. Like I really do enjoy the fact that as of right now, I can pretty much, as long as I don't die, my build is doing stuff. If I'm healing, buffing, CCing, it works. Like I'm running soldiers and nomads gear on my Guardian right now. I run hammer, and I'm going to be taking Dragon Hunter so I can get the bow. I'm just going to be focused. What's that?
I said you're doing it wrong.
I don't care. But no, I'm going to be focusing entirely on CC because there is so much CC between hammer and bow that it's absolutely ridiculous. So that's just, I like playing that way. Like, I know people say, well, you're not doing enough damage. Well, I'm not playing to do damage. I do group content. I don't do solo stuff, so I'm controlling them. Those other guys are killing them. So,
and I did see some people in chat say like find the PvE already challenging. Yeah, all I'm saying, and I think Jim was starting to talk about it, is I think it's going to be more dynamic instead of so scripted. Like I remember seeing the one thing where you actually cast AoE and actually you'll actually see the thing dodge roll out of your AoE. It's going to be more stuff like that. If you watch the GDC video, it's like I think they show them like a human literally circled by a bunch of char with the functions running of they want to leave room for their allies, but also stay a distance away from you. And as he moves towards them, you'll see sometimes the char scatter backwards, but also every once in a while, it will literally run past the person because it wants to still leave room for those other char that already moved, but also, you know, fill the other one of staying away from the player character. It's pretty awesome. Like I said, they didn't tell us which stuff was going to be in Heart of Thorns, but I hope that would be one of them. I mean, that's the whole thing, the asterisk on that.
We've been seeing AI in general, like with the NPCs, when they introduced, hey, the NPC will actually help you get back up when you're down. That was a major thing. So like it's a progression, and like we might not see all the things at Heart of Thorns, but I have every faith that they'll just keep adding and making it better and better.
Yeah, that's actually something that I was enjoying. Is in Silver Waste, I'll res NPCs. If they, I'll throw like heals at NPCs because they might not be fantastic at dealing damage and helping you clear the forts, but they'll pick your ass up when you fall down. So I would like to have them standing because sometimes players don't notice. I see that res that down symbol floating. I'm like, I'm gonna help that guy, and sometimes people will literally be standing on top of you, and will just be like, how come you're not doing damage? It's like, well, because I'm dead.
Yeah.
And they also said, you know, this stuff, while it might not be initially in HOT, they do want to show that this could possibly come to Guild Wars 2 down the road. Now, They're not saying in the time frame of expansion to expansion if there's going to be another one. But they're basically going to anyway. What was I saying?
They're gonna keep adding
AI
things.
improvements.
Oh, okay. Like this is going to be down the road some, and you know it might be years out, but it's showing what the stuff that they're applying can do. Which, like I said, I'm a bit of a nerd with that stuff. I'm excited to see that technology is getting to that point where it could be kind of like fighting a person.
Sort of. I don't think we'll
It's
ever
never
quite get there. But,
yeah,
Well,
but we're getting better at it.
well, maybe
only problem
some
with-
people.
The only problem with NPCs is that we know what abilities they have eventually. A PC has like a ton of abilities.
As much
They've
as
got-
you do, usually.
Yeah, they've got what you have. They've got different ways of thinking. They can immediately change their strategy on the fly based on what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
AI can do that in a much more limited factor, which that depends entirely on how much time they spend on the core elements of these AI changes, because they can only make it so specific if they want to apply it to all NPCs.
Yeah.
And I really like thinking about this. I really just hope that they make NPCs recognize healing and beneficial zones to them and to enemies. Like,
Yeah.
you drop the healing rain thing for staff 5 in water on an elementalist. I want to see an NPC enemy with a knockback see that and want to move you out of it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if you've got NPCs at a pact camp that you're trying to defend during night in Verdant Brink, I want to see them see a healing area and be like, I want to be in that. And they run into the circle to heal or cure conditions, or they run behind a Revenant that's got their wall up with a hammer to avoid projectiles. So I think just recognizing what PCs drop for NPCs is a really huge jump that would make people actually care about NPCs.
Yep.
So
I'm definitely looking forward to what to be and actually see what's actually in Heart of Thorns come launch.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, there was another little conference. Fortunately, it kind of got foreshadowed. It was supposed to be about PvP Stronghold Beta, but right at the end, it's how it always is. Someone says one thing and it gets blown out of proportion. Basically, it was about building a competitive game program.
Mm-hmm.
And it was supposed to revolve around like PvP and all that stuff, and World v World as well. But near the end, I believe it was Steve Fowler who said, "We are about to launch our first expansion for Guild Wars 2 this summer, and there is a brand new gameplay mode." And talking about now, a lot of devs have kind of hopped on to say like, "Don't read too much into this." Like, we're going to announce a date when we have a date to announce. But it is interesting. I mean, what do you guys?
Summer?
I'm just seeing it as a slip as this summer we announced
Yeah.
the expansion, not we're releasing an expansion, because
I can't see that.
yeah, like you were saying,
even putting it at the farthest reaches of what summer is at like the beginning of September.
that's like what Deo said earlier,
I
is
don't think
3
we'll
months
get it
at
by then. Yeah.
3 months at the earliest, maybe, and that's being super optimistic. So yeah, I'm not like, we don't even know, because obviously they're going to milk all of the elite specialization announcements.
Yeah.
They're going to milk the guild hall announcements. They're going to milk all of the Revenant stuff announcements.
Yep.
And even if they
Like,
do an
if
announcement a
they're-
week, that's a lot of stuff to go through still.
So like summer ends officially like September 22nd. So in order to get all of that by that last date, like technically still in the summer, they'd have to like step it up to multiple announcements per week, and I don't see them doing that.
Well, but I mean, to be fair, do they have to announce everything before the expansion?
Yes.
I would think they at
Because
least
most of it you have to test at some point, and your in-house testing is not going to be able to do what you do when you do beta.
Yeah, I would think that they'd at least want to get all of the Revenant and specialization stuff out at the very least
And
before they
Guild Hall
release
stuff.
the pre-patch content.
Yeah.
Like not actual Heart of Thorns. I would think they'd want to get out everything that affects players on the pre-patch announced. So that's at least the 8 current professions and their elite specializations. I think they'd be able to hold off on guild halls and the rest of the Revenant after that, but I can't see them launching after just the specializations announced.
Yeah, no.
I mean, granted, I did find it interesting, but I'm not gonna say, oh, clearly it was a slip of the tongue. This is true. If it comes out in September, fantastic. But as long as I think we've said it before, as long as it's ready, that's I think the important part. And
yeah, definitely.
You know, maybe that's what they right now have in mind, and it was a slip of tongue. But
well, not to mention, I mean,
okay,
they data mine the pre-purchase strings, so they haven't even announced the pre-purchase strings. So. Or they haven't announced the.
I was gonna say
deals,
a lot of like the projected profits thing. I don't know if that's what chat's talking about as well, but usually that's where it's based off of. They've even said in the projected profits, the people that do it say we're assuming on information that we have.
Yeah.
It's not guaranteed, set in stone. This is on the same level basically as when you go onto like Amazon or whatever and say, look up Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns, and it says, it gives you a date. And you're like, clearly it's June 1st, 2015. No, it's a placeholder. It's like,
well,
maybe this.
That's like when I talked to Colin Johansson, I asked him specifically about that, and he said that they don't even consult them about it. It's totally NCSoft going, all right, you're working on this. Let's say it'll probably be this, and we'll project that, you know. It's an educated guess, but it's not really like they talk to them and they're like, this is about when we're planning, you know. That never happened. So
yeah, I mean, my company has like kind of a bi-monthly business meeting for everybody in the corporate office, and they go over, you know, projected versus actual income, and they have a whole graph that's plotted out for the entire year. And very rarely do those things ever actually match, despite, I mean, there's like 6 people working on this, and these guys have been working with this company 20 plus years for each of them. So they know how the business works. So even with their incredibly educated guesses, they're never 100% accurate. So maybe quarter 3, probably not, considering the rate of content we've been seeing.
And I mean, they might, you know, they might ramp it up afterwards, but all we have to do is to base it on is what we've had previously. The rate that they're going, it's going to be tough to hit that deadline. But you know, they might just be like, oh hey, we poorly managed this, let's announce 12 things on the last week. Like, yes, they could do that. Probability unlikely, but I just felt bad that it kind of got like over, like that little, like it might have been 5 seconds got overshadowed this whole, you know, PvP conference thing. But you know, that, to be fair, if you say that, it's, you said that in any of the conferences, that's probably going to overshadow it. But you know, let's do it justice, because this past week we've had the PvP Stronghold beta that, you know, last Tuesday. It was only up for 24 hours. Who here played it, and like roughly how much, if at all?
I didn't get to play this one again.
I didn't get to play.
Oh,
I had real life that interjected, and I'm really sad.
Wow, so I am your liaison to PvP. You are all in trouble.
Well, to be honest, and I was on, and this was like I was playing, honestly, Heroes of the Storm released. I was playing that with my wife, and Deo even was playing with us for a little bit.
I did play a
But
little bit, yeah.
I read through the patch notes, and we were talking about stuff, and it didn't look like they did anything to stop zerging.
Yeah,
So
that's kind of interesting.
That wasn't one of the changes that was made.
Yeah, if anything, I think they removed some guards in certain areas. Like, they kind of made it in a way worse. And I will say right now, I played like maybe 2 or 3 matches because time reasons. I didn't notice a change, but once again, I'm not an avid PvP player to notice huge changes. But some of the things I also heard from people in our guild, and I think it's a good reason is, can they do enough justice of comparing, like, between each participant? Like, one person can get enough games in to kind of see differences in 24 hours. Like, maybe should they do like a separate queue for a week or something where people
yeah, that was something Tavik mentioned. Yeah, is that it feels like in order to get enough data, they need to have it up for like a week and just have that as its own queue, as just its own separate thing where people can play for a week to gather enough data. So I completely agree with that. I think a single 24-hour period is not enough.
On the same note, I was really happy to see that they did make some changes.
Yeah.
And like they didn't address like the zerking problem, but they definitely addressed some of the other problems. Like they changed how some of the AI for the guards went in the room with the lords work. Some of that stuff. They fine-tuned more of that, which is great. I was really happy to see that, and that's what they should be doing with the beta testing. So
yeah, I agree. Like, they did make some pretty good changes, and like I said, since I'm not an avid PvP player, I probably wouldn't be able to pick up on those subtly without, those subtle changes without seeing those patch notes.
yeah, I was looking for the notes just to reference because I can't remember all of the changes because there were a few, but I can't find them now.
Well, that's the thing. They didn't put them as patch notes. I actually had to look on the forums. Like, they posted what they were changing in the PvP sub forums. Like, yes. They didn't actually put them as a patch note.
But they formatted them. So
yes, it was formatted like in the same way. And which I think is interesting that they didn't patch that or put it in patch notes so people could easily see it more.
Well, I mean, it's also like it's directed at the people who would be more interested in it. And since it's not like a game-wide permanent change, it was just for this test. People who are doing PvP are the only people who are going to care about it anyway. So.
Okay. Fair enough. I guess. Guess you can be reasonable about it. I mean,
I feel like I'm putting the smack down on Deo all day today.
Well, Aaron's not here for you to put down, so.
To aim your anger at.
I'm not angry. I'm happy. I'm smiling.
Hey, when you came into chat, you put roar. That is fighting. Those are fighting words.
I don't know. It's just that it feels odd that, I mean, weren't they intending for Stronghold to be kind of like the intro to PvP kind of deal?
Well, all right. So it's like meant to help people who mostly only PvE transition and be more interested in PvP, but it's still a PvP thing. So, like, I mean, when they do the release, I'm sure the patch notes with it and all of that will be in the normal section. But for now, it makes sense because, like, you're going to get some of the PvE people testing it, like, guys. But mostly it'll still be the PvP people right now.
The more I think about it, it's probably a good move just because if they put it in with the patch notes, people will think it's official, like
it's in and it's there and it's done.
It's not changing, like so. Yeah. It's probably a better bet to put it on its particular subform.
And I think this is actually an argument that I'm remembering all of Aaron's arguments for him this week. When we were talking about it, he said I think he said something about how he thinks that in order to like distract people away from zerging, they need more map objectives, but then it pulls away from it being something that helps PvE people transition into PvP because it makes it too complicated.
So I finally found the patch notes, and it jogged my memory. So I think this round of it wasn't meant to address the issue with the zerging, because their changes were all aimed at fixing other issues, which it makes sense to me to fix those issues before you start fixing like the zerg problem. So like they changed the number of crates and boxes that are inside strongholds, made some terrain changes, you know, because one of the things we noticed was when you're on blue side and red side, there were some unequal things. They changed the realignment of the trebuchets to make them able to hit the mist essence, which I hope, I didn't test it, but I hope that made a difference, like, because you could disrupt people with charging the mist essence by using the trebuchet, which makes them far more useful, I think. Let's see.
And chat is saying buff guard.
They did age
Not
by
guardians,
10%.
sorry. Guards. I mean, you could buff guardians too. Go for it. It's
Yeah, that'd make you happy, wouldn't it?
yeah.
Oh, they gave the Lord a new skill. That was another thing where he pulled everybody in and then would do a devastating 360 spin.
The Tisa spin. Yeah.
Yeah. So
does he put in like 1,000 conditions when he spins too? Because that's what Tisa does.
I would expect so.
No, that's
It doesn't
everybody else's
say that,
job.
though.
But yeah, like I said, a lot of changes went into it. It was just for someone that probably didn't read the patch notes and just went in and played both, probably didn't notice, probably wouldn't have saw them all.
Yeah.
But like as I was going in there, like I knew some of the stuff, but I was probably like, if I didn't know about it prior, I would have missed it or just.
Yeah, which is fine. Like the changes don't have to be like really noticeable for them to make a substantial difference, especially if you did it the first time. One of the big things
if you're doing a news.
Well, too bad for you. One of the big things that I was really happy they changed was the locations for the defending NPCs are identical for both sides now. Because it made no sense for it to not be the same, because even a small difference that seems inconsequential could actually make a difference.
Well, yeah, because it changes line of sight and the range at which you can attack NPCs, so it does matter. I mean, generally speaking, I know they're trying to get like the different sides to look different, but it would honestly be just completely perfect if they just cut the map in half and cloned it in the reverse way.
Yes.
But and honestly, like going off of what Age said, I really wish that there was a way you could spend supply on other things than summoning doorbreakers and archers.
Yeah, I wish there were more things.
Like, and this was even a thought that I had, that if you had like, it wasn't like the more supply your team spends on attacking units, the attacking units get upgraded. So like you get tier 2 doorbreakers and archers and tier 3 doorbreakers and archers, and they either get different skills, more health, more damage, fun stuff like that. And then you could spend supply on defense, where you could buff your door HP, buff your guard HP, give them a heal skill or something. So just, or maybe like every tier of upgrade for the defense level would make them veterans and then elites. I mean, and that would just, it would make it more tactical. It would give people more of a reason to go get supply and then come back to base. It would give more of a reason, it would allow you to leave the doorbreakers and the archers alone, because generally speaking, don't the defending guards pretty much shred your attacking NPCs if you don't defend them?
Yeah. I mean, it's more of a danger from the other players if they're going to attack them.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a roughly even match, but it's if there's like one other, like an actual human person there, it's just gonna swing it in that favor.
Yeah.
But,
and yeah, no, what Sherdil just said in chat, I'm totally cool with healing specs being a thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to have like one bunker person, like say a Ventari Revenant in full nomad gear, yeah, full circle. But standing there with your defending NPCs. I mean, you have the CC and the healing to keep your guards up and to keep the attackers from really doing much of anything. So go for it. I mean, it would be pretty freaking awesome, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the most important part is that you look good doing it. How you can look good doing it? Robin is not liking anything. Man. Well,
That
anyway,
was a bad
in the
transition.
they put more stuff in the gem store this week, and the first thing was the Daydreamer back piece.
Yay! There you go.
And basically, it's 500 gems. Unfortunately, unlike the Daydreamer's Finery, you can't dye it, so it's always gonna be that green and gold. Can't dye
that's
back
pretty.
pieces.
It's like butterfly wings, and
Yes,
they flap.
Which is why you bought it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I like the look of it, but I think it's one of those issues where it's not going to look good on any of my characters because they really don't run green. Whereas the Daydreamer's Finery, the outfit, you could dye it, so.
But green is the best color, Deo.
Clearly.
I'm
right
fairly certain
behind.
Dave would argue for red. But...
I'll say right behind red and antique bronze. But I might be biased on that one. But I mean,
one thing that doesn't come across in those pictures is that the green has a bit of a shimmer to it, and as the light hits it in different ways, it looks a little bit different colored.
Iridescent.
Yes. But I like saying shimmer.
Yeah.
With a strange accent, apparently.
I mean, I think you already said that, Robin, you already got the back piece, correct?
Yeah. I bought him for my Char Mesmer, actually.
Well,
No.
Jim, did you? No? You're already saying no.
No, they're not really my thing, and much like you, I don't really have any characters that they would fit on, and I've kind of got looks set already. So I'm looking at all this, and I'm like, it's a big pile of nope. So.
What about you?
Chad is not liking my segue. I'm hurt.
That's because it was bad. It was just bad.
That's how good I am at games. Even my segues do damage. What?
Oh God.
Luckily, I did not have the 4-box open for that one.
Jesus. Deo, that was terrible.
How good I am.
No.
I don't know, like there are some, it's kind of hard to pick from the back pieces because the back pieces, like you said, you can't dye them. So you have to find one that either matches the color scheme you're working with, or you have to make a color scheme around the back piece.
Yep.
Which Guilty is charged since I got this dynamic Spinal Blades backpack. Which is the
got
blue
the blue one.
Yeah.
Only you got the green ones. You could just trade it right out. Look at that. You would have been perfect.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. That's the last
there you
one
go. You can get
I
those.
found out that the green power cores are actually worth 11 gold. So I have 110 gold sitting in my bank right now in item form, and I'm just like, do I really want the green one that much? And I'm like, I'm halfway done with the build path, so I may as well just finish it.
That's the thing. I still have all like a set for each. Like I have 10 of each color.
Oh, jeez.
Before the thing, and yeah, I looked them up one time. I'm like,
hang on to this for a while.
Finished doing mine.
I haven't made any. I haven't even made an attempt really at like going after the higher ones. But
I have the exotic level done, and that's it.
Yeah,
my only issue is I have to make the exotic level one now, and that uses Orichalcum, and I need that to make Foe Fire's Power and Azure Flame.
Oh, wow.
Because that's what I'm going to use on my Guardian. So
priorities.
Yeah, that's like 350 Orichalcum ingots per weapon. So
that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a bit of a lot of war.
Another thing that was in the gem store was a finisher that you can use in PvP. All you people that hated my segue. But it is the Honor Guard finisher, and it's 700 gems. But as you can see, it kind of like, what do you guys think? It's basically summons like three ethereal guards. It looks like, and they kind of do a
salute.
Yeah,
I'm digging the use of the Balthazar Greatsword for it. Like, I like that. That looks pretty cool.
It's cool. It's no rainbow unicorn finisher.
Clearly.
Yeah, I mean, I like it, but I mean, guild finisher, that's basically just aggressive recruiting. I can't pass that one up.
I will admit that the reason, and the guild finisher is the one I use primarily. I've been using the random finisher checkbox just because I have a bunch of random stuff from Halloween and Winter's Day that I just wanted to go through. But the guild finisher, the only reason I really use it is because it reminds me of Mission Complete from Guild Wars 1. Because it's got the shield and then the two swords come in from the side, and it just, the nostalgia is strong. So that, and it's just a really satisfying finisher. I like the ones that actually have like some kind of weapon coming down. I'm not a huge fan of the spike, and I'm not a fan of like the weirder looking ones, but that's just
I don't think I've ever used the guild finisher.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Do you have it?
I think I do.
So you bought it.
Yeah.
And you didn't use it.
Yeah.
ArenaNet thanks you for your purchase.
I would say I've done that with things. I think I have the one of the original ones, like the Spectre, like a shadowy figure that just stabs the ground. I used that for a while, but then the guild finisher came out.
I mean, honestly, with the dancing llama and the unicorn rainbow, like I don't see a reason to use any of the other ones. Those two are just so satisfying.
Now they just need a rainbow unicorn mini, and a rainbow unicorn mail carrier for you.
Yes.
And you'll have this much.
I wouldn't use the rainbow unicorn mail carrier over the quaggan. That's just way too entertaining. Because it's not only like the quaggan flying through the air, it's got its own music and everything. Which is another reason why I love the llama finisher so much, because it's got its own little like 8-bit music that it dances to.
Yeah. I kind of want Super Adventure Box to come back so I can get the Super Adventure Box, the finisher from it, the Pixel Mushroom Cloud.
That is a cool one.
I was gonna say, chat's asking, do we even get to use the finishers?
I do, because I go to World versus World and stuff.
I was like, I don't know if you're asking just the hosts, but I PvP a little bit. I get to use it every once in a while. But if in general, sometimes if I'm bored, it's the only thing that makes me do those Nightmare Court stocks anymore.
Well, I was gonna say, and then you have all those Nightmare Court things that you have to kill in PvE like that.
Yeah, I PvP a bit. I enjoy it. I do run in some World versus World, though generally you don't get as much of an opportunity to spike people in World versus World, because usually you just want to burn them down and cleave while you're killing other people.
Well,
there's times
I run around and on my own in Havoc a lot, so.
Yeah, there's that too. But
I mean, in PvE, I said this when they did the Nightmare the Toxic Alliance. I'd love to see them do that more as a mechanic in PvE, and it would be smart because it might sell them a couple more finishers.
Oh, I can almost guarantee you that the Mordrum guards are going to work the same way.
Yeah.
Like, they're definitely going to be something we have to finish off, like some of the stronger ones.
Actually, I hope it's the Terragriffs. That way people are like, no, you put that thing down. Don't let that thing come back up. Yeah. So I want that to be at least in one of the areas.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if they like gave us an Uber vendor that you had to down and then you had to spike?
Oh, jeez.
No, make it worse. You have to spike each of the little ones because you're like,
what was it? There needs to be a way to get, like, you're going to have to take a staff, and you're going back to the Terragriff thing, you're going to have to use the 5 skill to knock a Terragriff down while it's charging. I want to see that happen. Because the staff 5 on a Revenant is basically Terragriff charge, so...
Yeah.
And, well, I mean, would you guys buy this for 700 gems?
No.
Ouch.
I don't really have... I haven't bought gems in a while, and I don't really intend to. I have, at least for now, mostly because I'm broke right now. I have to wait for my paycheck to actually want to buy anything. But I don't know. Like I've purchased. I like the guild finisher. That's why I bought it. I've got a bunch of extra ones from the temporary
Holidays and
one,
stuff
yeah,
like that.
from Halloween and Winter's Day. But I'm not gonna buy it. No.
All right, well, yeah, I'm probably the same way. Is like I kind of, it kind of goes with like my outfit. Like I have what I want on that character. But the other thing they had in the gem store was the beetle, mini beetle, and it was 500 gems. I mean, I already see some of our hosts shaking their heads. Would you guys buy it for the 500 gems?
Nope.
No. Which is big coming from Arlie because
Yeah,
you're the
I was.
I usually want all the pets, but I was looking at that today when I logged on, and I was like, no.
But I think above all this, the important thing to note is that they are going to retire items.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole list. I'm going to try to go through them like just once because it's a pretty big list. First off, the things that are in the gem store are the Winter's Day weapon skins from the Black Line Weapon Specialist, and these are the ones that have like the little snow globes in them, not to be confused with like the gingerbread looking ones.
Oh, not the toy ones.
Yeah, it's or the ones that have all the snow globes and stuff in them. The more recent Winter's Day ones.
Yeah.
Also, on top of that, the Crichton armor skin, the Profane armor skin, and the Prime Evil armor skins, which are basically what you get in the new packs. So they're taking those off the market. The Zodiac armor skins, which I'm sure everybody's pained to see this go.
Darn.
The Quaggan Warrior backpack, the Winter's Day earmuffs, Fuzzy Bear hat, Fuzzy Leopard hat, Glowing Crimson mask skin, which is, I believe, the red eye glowing effect.
Yep.
Mask of the Crown skin, which I think is just one of those like little like face like fancy.
I'm sorry, Mask of the Crown skin? That's an awful name. It just sounds bad.
Yeah, it was really hard to say. I was like, am I reading this wrong? But the Sailor's beanie, top hat, reading glasses. So if you want to be that Revenant with reading glasses, get on it. Frost Wasp logging tool, Tireless logging minion, Tireless harvesting minion, Bone pick, Fused molten logging axe, Molten Alliance mining pick, Fused molten sickle. Now, they have said these will return next fall. They haven't really said if it's 2015 next fall or next fall as in literally next year.
Yeah, next year, 2016.
So, if you do want these, they might be back soon or they might be back in a year.
I feel
Either
like
way,
if it was going to be soon, they would have said this fall, not next fall.
True. Well, I mean, that's for you to decide. One little quick thing, like if you want it, just go out and get it. I mean, that's I think what they're trying to get you to do. Like,
Yeah.
Pretty much.
One last thing, they have actually said it's a little quality of life for all you thieves out there. Thief is getting an F2 skill.
Ooh.
And basically how it's going to work, the quickest way is, they announced this on the forums. I believe it was Carl McLean. And what? Wait, what?
Is that his actual last name? Because it didn't sound right.
Yeah,
That's
Carl
how it is
McLean.
on the forums.
It
And
is?
that's what
Okay.
I want to say
I was
McLean.
just looking at that at that post. It's Carl McLean.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I want to say
you
McLean.
stumbled
Like,
over it, so I was like, is
yeah,
that right?
but anyway. And I already see our resident thief that we all know and love in chat is already happy about it. They're getting an F2 skill. Basically, you still have your F1, which is your steal. But when you steal, it's going to go into the item the item skill that you use will go into the F2, and you can use it anytime you want. Now, before, how it worked was you had to use your steal skill to be able to steal again. Like, it would still result in cooldown and stuff like that, but you had to use it to be able to steal again. And there are some builds that revolve around stealing. Well, this makes it so if you don't use the stolen skill in the new F2 slot, you can still steal again, and it will just overwrite whatever the next thing you steal. Like, so you could just basically steal and never use the stolen item. How do you guys feel about it? Apparently, people are happy about it. Is there any downside to it?
I think it's fine. I mean, generally speaking, there's a bunch of thief traits that do stuff when you steal, and maybe people don't care about the bundle items you get, so you just want to hit steal because there's one that gives buffs in a big AoE, there's damage, there's life siphon off of it, there's a bunch of stuff you can get from stealing. So yeah, it's not, there are probably people who don't care about what they get, it's about just the act of stealing something that matters.
Yeah, honestly, I think one of my builds I used to have my thief, like, it required me jumping in and out with the steal skill. And honestly, I think that's, yeah, it'll make me hop back in to try it out, like, because I'm not a big thief person. I have all the characters, but more than likely I'm always on my guardian. Yeah, I think overall it's a good quality of life change, and I haven't seen anybody say anything bad about it. I mean, who maybe someone that's fighting a thief will, but which will probably be me, and that's why I stay away from PvP. I'm scared. Scared Age will come and find me and kill me in PvP.
That could be arranged.
Now I'm scared of Arlie. But that's basically all for the show today.
Yay.
Let's do our goodbyes. And Jim, where can you be found?
I can be found on Twitter at MalthanusMMO.
Fantastic. And Robin, where can they find you?
I can be found on Twitter at Arlie82 and at Twitch Arlie82, and MMOArlie.com is my blog, and on GameBreaker.tv. Woo!
And you can find me at simply_Deo, and underscore as in little dash, don't spell out underscore. On Twitch and Twitter. I do have YouTube, but I rarely throw videos onto there. I think I say this every week. I want to start streaming. I'm looking into doing some Lego Worlds. Maybe, hopefully, if I find time this weekend, because that looks fun to just to run around in. But you can, if you missed the live show, tune in to our YouTube channel. Just search Talking Skritt. We also have iTunes. As usual, just search Talking Skritt. It should pop up right there for you. If you are watching the VOD, tune in live Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern time, over at twitch.tv/Talking Skritt. And you can find all of us here at GameBreakerNation.com. We're not just the Guild Wars 2 Guild. We have Final Fantasy XIV. They're coming out with expansion. Elder Scrolls Online. World of Warcraft. We have, I believe, Horde on Hyjal. We have Star Citizen, Elite Dangerous if you're into the flight sim games, Minecraft community, and those are the games we directly support. You'll see people running in Trove. I've seen people in Arcade. I've seen people in like little games here and there. So if you're interested in any game, really, head on over to GameBreakerNation.com, sign on up, and as always, we will see the game.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.